November 22nd, 1849, St. Petersburg. A young man stands before a firing squad, blindfolded, hands bound, waiting for the bullets that will end his life. His name is Fyodor Dostoevsky, and he has 30 seconds to live. The order is given, rifles raised, fingers on triggers, and then nothing. At the last possible moment, a messenger arrives. The execution is stopped. It was a mock execution, a psychological torture designed by the Tsar. Dostoevsky is spared, sent to Siberia instead. But something happened in those 30 seconds, something that changed him forever. He saw something about human nature, about society, about what we're capable of becoming. And 20 years later, he would write it all down in a novel that most people misunderstand completely. They call it The Idiot. They think it's about a naive fool trying to be good in a cruel world. They're wrong. It's a warning, a prophecy, a dark mirror held up to civilization itself. And what Dostoevsky saw in that mirror, we're living through right now. He didn't just write stories. He dissected the human soul, exposed its contradictions, its capacity for both transcendence and absolute corruption. The brothers Karamazov, Crime and Punishment, Notes from Underground, each one a descent into the abyss of human consciousness. But The Idiot was different. In The Idiot, Dostoevsky asked a question that haunted him since that day before the firing squad, a question that still haunts us today. What happens when genuine goodness enters a corrupt world? Not theoretical goodness, not performative virtue, but real, authentic, almost holy goodness. Does it transform the world? Does it inspire change? Or does it get destroyed? Dostoevsky spent his entire life after Siberia wrestling with this question. 4 years in a prison camp, chains, forced labor, surrounded by murderers and thieves, men who had committed unspeakable acts. And what disturbed him most wasn't their crimes. It was how human they were, how similar to everyone else, how the line between civilization and savagery was thinner than anyone wanted to admit. He saw that, given the right circumstances, anyone could become a monster. But he also saw something else, something that haunted him even more. That genuine goodness, when it appeared in that prison, was immediately attacked, not by the guards, by the prisoners themselves. Any man who showed real kindness, real compassion, real vulnerability, he became a target, mocked, abused, destroyed, not because he was weak, but because his goodness revealed everyone else's compromise with evil. This became the seed of The Idiot. This is the hidden codex. Let's continue. But something happened during his isolation. Something Dostoevsky himself experienced during his years in Siberia. A transformation, a stripping away of social masks, a confrontation with raw existence. When you face death, when you're removed from society's games, something crystallizes. You see clearly, perhaps too clearly. Mishkin returns to Russian society completely undefended. No cynicism, no manipulation, no pretense. Just pure, unfiltered humanity. And everyone he meets is disturbed by it. Not because he's weak, but because he's real. In a world where everyone wears a mask, the man without one becomes terrifying. His first conversation in the novel is with a stranger on a train. Within minutes, Mishkin is confessing his deepest thoughts, his fears, his experiences with death, his understanding of suffering. The stranger is simultaneously attracted and repelled. This level of honesty is intoxicating but dangerous. It breaks every social rule. By the end of the journey, the stranger feels he's known Mishkin forever, but also that he's met someone not quite human, someone operating by different laws. Dostoevsky wrote in his notebooks while planning this novel something crucial. He wrote, "I want to portray a truly beautiful soul." And then he added, "But beauty in a corrupt world becomes grotesque." He wasn't being pessimistic. He was being accurate. Because here's what Dostoevsky understood. Here's what that moment before the firing squad taught him. Society doesn't actually want goodness. It wants the appearance of goodness. It wants virtue that can be performed, displayed, used for status. But genuine goodness, the kind that requires nothing in return, the kind that sees through all the games, that's dangerous. That threatens everything. Think about your own life for a moment. When was the last time you encountered someone genuinely good? Not someone performing goodness, not someone whose kindness came with conditions, but someone who was simply, authentically kind. How did it make you feel? If you're honest, probably uncomfortable, maybe even suspicious. You looked for the angle, the hidden motive, the catch, because we've been trained to believe that genuine goodness doesn't exist, that everyone has an agenda, that kindness is always transactional, and when we encounter the exception, we don't know what to do with it. That's exactly what happens in The Idiot. Person after person encounters Mishkin's genuine goodness and is thrown into crisis. He meets Nastasia Filipovna, a woman trapped in a cycle of abuse and self-destruction, used by powerful men since she was a child, degraded, broken, turned into an object. She's beautiful, intelligent, capable of devastating insight, but she's internalized her own degradation, believes she's unworthy of genuine love, believes she's irredeemably corrupted. Everyone else sees her as either a victim to be pitied or an object to be possessed. The men want to own her. The women want to condemn her. No one sees her as fully human, except Mishkin. He looks at her and sees a suffering soul, worthy of dignity, capable of redemption, deserving of unconditional respect. And his response is immediate and instinctive. He offers her marriage, not to save her, not to own her, but because he recognizes her humanity when no one else does. The room goes silent. Then someone laughs, then everyone laughs, because in their world such genuineness is impossible. It must be a joke. It must be manipulation. It must be the delusion of an idiot. They cannot conceive that someone might act from pure compassion. But here's what makes this scene truly devastating. Nastasia Filipovna herself cannot accept it. Not because she doesn't believe Mishkin is sincere, but because she does. His sincerity reveals to her the depth of her own degradation, shows her what real love looks like, and, by comparison, shows her how far she's fallen from being capable of receiving it. So she runs, flees from the one person offering her genuine salvation, runs back to her abuser, because accepting Mishkin's love would require her to believe she's worthy of it, and that belief is more terrifying than continuing her own destruction. Dostoevsky is showing us something here, something about how society protects itself from goodness. When someone acts with authentic virtue, we immediately suspect them. We look for the angle. We search for the hidden motive, because if they're genuinely good, if they're acting from pure compassion, then what does that make us? It makes us what we are, players in a game of social advantage, performers of virtue rather than practitioners of it, and we can't tolerate that mirror. So we do one of two things. We either destroy the genuinely good person, mock them, pathologize them, drive them away, or we destroy ourselves, run from the truth they represent, retreat deeper into our own corruption rather than face the possibility of redemption. Nastasia Filipovna chooses the latter, and it kills her. Mishkin doesn't just threaten society with his goodness. He reveals something about human psychology that we desperately want to deny. We don't just reject goodness. We want to destroy it. Throughout the novel, person after person tries to use Mishkin, to manipulate him, to test him, to break him, not because he's harmed them, but because his existence is intolerable. There's a character named Ippolit, young, dying of consumption, bitter, nihilistic. He's intelligent, articulate. He reads philosophy, understands the arguments for meaninglessness, and he's convinced that life is absurd, that suffering has no purpose, that existence itself is a cosmic joke. One night, he reads a confession in front of Mishkin and others, a long, tortured meditation on his hatred for existence, his rage at God, his desire to destroy everything before he dies. It's brilliant, moving, devastating in its honesty. And Mishkin's response? Compassion, understanding, no judgment, no counter-arguments, no attempts to convince him otherwise. Just presence, just acceptance, just seeing Ippolit's suffering without trying to fix it or explain it away. Ippolit becomes furious. He wanted Mishkin to argue with him, to condemn him, to engage in the philosophical battle. He wanted to win, to prove his nihilism correct, to force Mishkin to admit that suffering is meaningless. Instead, Mishkin simply accepts him, sees his pain, offers presence without defense. And Ippolit cannot stand it, because Mishkin's acceptance reveals something Ippolit cannot face about himself. His nihilism isn't philosophical. It's personal. It's a defense mechanism, a way of making his suffering meaningful by declaring all suffering meaningless. If existence is absurd, then his dying young isn't tragic. It's just part of the absurdity. But Mishkin's compassion suggests otherwise. Suggests that Ippolit's life matters, that his suffering is real and significant, that his death will be a genuine loss. And that truth is unbearable. So Ippolit attempts suicide, right there, in front of everyone. He puts a gun to his head and pulls the trigger. The gun misfires, and in that moment, Ippolit's face reveals everything. Not relief, not gratitude for surviving. Shame, humiliation, rage, because his grand philosophical gesture was revealed as what it actually was, a cry for help, a desperate attempt to make his suffering mean something. And it failed. Dostoevsky wrote in a letter to his niece something that explains this perfectly. He said, "People cannot forgive someone for being genuinely good to them. It creates a debt they cannot repay, and that debt feels like humiliation." Read that again. People cannot forgive someone for being genuinely good to them, not because they're ungrateful, but because genuine goodness reveals their own compromises, their own accommodations with corruption, their own performances of virtue that disguise the emptiness inside. And that revelation is intolerable. We'd rather destroy the genuinely good person than face what their goodness reveals about ourselves. The Idiot isn't just about one man's innocence in a corrupt world. It's about a specific type of societal decay that Dostoevsky saw coming. A decay that has nothing to do with poverty or violence or obvious evil. A decay of meaning itself, of sincerity, of the possibility of genuine human connection. In the novel, everyone is performing, playing roles, calculating advantages. Even their emotions are strategic. Nastasia Filipovna performs her own degradation. She's internalized the male gaze so completely that she becomes it, performs her own objectification before anyone else can. Rogozhin performs his passion. His love for Nastasia is real, but it's also a performance of what he thinks love should look like. Obsessive, possessive, consuming. Aglaya performs her intellect. She's genuinely brilliant, but she weaponizes her intelligence, uses it to maintain distance, to keep everyone at arm's length. Ganya performs his ambition. He wants wealth and status but pretends he wants love, performs caring while calculating advantage. Only Mishkin doesn't perform, and his non-performance reveals everyone else's performance. This is what drives them mad. Not his goodness, but his reality. Because when you're used to everyone wearing masks, the person without one seems like they're hiding something even more sinister. You start to think, what's his game? What's he really after? No one is actually this good. No one is actually this sincere. There must be a deeper deception, a more sophisticated manipulation. And so you test him, push him, try to break through to the real person underneath. But there is no underneath. Mishkin is exactly what he appears to be, and that's more disturbing than any deception. Dostoevsky saw this coming, saw how society was moving toward total performance, total inauthenticity, where virtue becomes a commodity, where compassion becomes a brand, where every human interaction is calculated for advantage. He wrote in notes from underground years before The Idiot. We've reached a point where we think about genuine virtue as something impossible. We mock it. We pathologize it. We call it idiocy. And that's exactly what society does to Mishkin. They call him an idiot. Not as an insult, but as a diagnosis. Because in a world where everyone is strategic, genuineness becomes a mental disorder. Think about it. If everyone you know is playing the game, strategizing every interaction, performing every emotion, what do you call someone who doesn't? Naive, simple, mentally deficient. An idiot, not because they lack intelligence, but because they lack the one form of intelligence that matters in a performative society: strategic deception. Mishkin doesn't fail because he's weak. He fails because goodness cannot function in a system built on manipulation. Watch what happens in the novel's progression. Mishkin tries to help Nastasia Filipovna, offers her genuine love, unconditional acceptance, a path out of her self-destruction. She runs from him, not because she doesn't trust him, but because she trusts him too much. His goodness reveals to her how far she's fallen, and that revelation is unbearable. So she runs to Rogozhin, a man who desires her with violent obsession but makes no claims of virtue. With Rogozhin, she doesn't have to face what she's become. She can simply be consumed. It's not that she loves Rogozhin more. It's that his darkness doesn't demand she change. Mishkin's light does. And change requires hope. Hope requires believing you're worthy of redemption. And Nastasia has internalized her unworthiness too deeply. Mishkin tries to navigate between two women who love him, Nastasia and Aglaya. Both brilliant, both suffering, both capable of genuine love if they could escape their own defenses. He loves both, not romantically in a conventional sense, but humanly. He sees their pain, their beauty, their struggle, their potential. He cannot choose between them because choosing would mean ranking their worth. And to Mishkin, every human soul has infinite worth. But society demands a choice, demands a performance of preference. demands he play the game of romantic love according to established rules. He can't. He won't. His love is too genuine to be reduced to social calculation. So both women are destroyed, not by his cruelty, but by his refusal to be cruel in the way society demands. Aglaia, hurt by his inability to choose her exclusively, marries a Polish count who treats her terribly. She trades the possibility of genuine love for the certainty of social status. Nastasia, unable to accept Mishkin's love, vacillates between him and Rogozhin, until Rogozhin, in a fit of possessive rage, murders her. Both women destroyed, not by evil, but by their inability to accept genuine goodness when it was offered. Mishkin tries to bring people together, to create authentic community, to bridge the gaps of class and resentment and ego. He hosts gatherings, opens his heart, speaks with complete honesty about his struggles and insights, and every attempt leads to chaos, to violence, to greater division, not because his intentions are wrong, but because the system is too corrupt, too invested in separation, too dependent on performance. When people are used to wearing masks, forced vulnerability feels like violence. Forced honesty feels like violation. Mishkin's attempts at genuine community tear open wounds everyone was carefully hiding, and instead of healing, people retreat deeper into their defenses. And here's what Dostoevsky is showing us, what he saw in that moment before the firing squad, what 30 seconds of absolute clarity revealed. Goodness doesn't transform a corrupt system from within. A corrupt system transforms goodness into something grotesque, or destroys it entirely. But here's what most people miss, what makes this truly terrifying. Mishkin doesn't go mad because of his disease. He goes mad because of clarity. He saw too much, understood too much, about what humans are willing to do to each other, about what society demands we become. The final scene is devastating. Nastasia Filipovna is dead, murdered by Rogozhin in a fit of possessive passion. Rogozhin keeps her body in his bedroom, behind a curtain. He sits with it for days, unable to accept what he's done, unable to let her go. And when Mishkin finds them, his response is not horror, not condemnation, not rage, compassion. He sits beside Rogozhin through the night, the murderer and the saint, united in their shared destruction by the woman they both loved, the woman society destroyed by refusing to let her be anything other than an object. Mishkin strokes Rogozhin's hair as Rogozhin trembles and weeps. No judgment, only presence, only compassion, even now, even here, at the end of all things. And then Mishkin's mind breaks, not from grief, but from understanding. Understanding that this is what love leads to in a world that cannot tolerate it. Death, madness, destruction. Understanding that he tried to bring light into darkness, and the darkness overwhelmed him. Understanding that genuine goodness in a corrupt world doesn't inspire transformation. It invites annihilation. Dostoevsky ends the novel with Mishkin being taken back to Switzerland, back to the sanitarium, back to isolation. His mind completely gone, unable to recognize anyone, unable to speak coherently. The light that shone so brightly for a brief moment, extinguished, and the world continues without him, unchanged, unrepentant. The same games being played, the same masks being worn, the same performances of virtue without substance. Everyone agrees. It's tragic, but inevitable. The idiot couldn't survive in the real world. Better he's safely away. But here's what Dostoevsky leaves unsaid, what he wants you to feel rather than think. Who are the real idiots? The man who loved genuinely and was destroyed? Or the society that destroyed him and called it progress? The man who refused to play the game and lost everything? Or the people who won the game and gained nothing worth having? He wasn't warning about external threats, about political systems, about economic collapse. He was warning about internal decay, about the death of sincerity, about a specific kind of spiritual emptiness that masquerades as sophistication. In the idiot, everyone is intelligent, articulate, socially aware. They speak beautifully about virtue, about love, about truth, about meaning, but none of them can practice it, because practicing it would mean dropping their masks, abandoning their strategies, accepting vulnerability. And vulnerability in a performative society is suicide. So instead, they perform vulnerability, perform humility, perform compassion. And that performance becomes the reality, until there is no reality anymore. Only layers of performance. Masks wearing masks. Dostoevsky saw this, saw where it was heading. A society where everyone speaks the language of virtue, but no one means it. Where compassion becomes a social credit. Where love becomes a transaction. Where every human interaction is calculated for advantage. And in such a society, the genuinely good person doesn't just fail. They become monstrous, disturbing, dangerous, because their genuineness reveals the lie everyone else is living. Look around. Look at social media. Look at public discourse. Look at how we talk about virtue, about justice, about compassion, about love. How much of it is genuine? How much of it is performance? How much of it would survive if no one was watching? If there was no status to gain? No points to score? No audience to applaud? Dostoevsky asked this question in 1869, in The Idiot. The question is even more urgent now, because we've perfected the performance. We've created entire platforms for it, entire economies based on it, entire identities constructed from it. We've become a society where the performance of virtue is more valuable than virtue itself, where the appearance of compassion is more rewarded than actual compassion, where saying the right things matters more than doing the right things. And just like in The Idiot, anyone who breaks that performance, anyone who acts with genuine sincerity, is immediately suspect, immediately pathologized, immediately destroyed. We call them naive. We call them idiots. We call them mentally ill. We call them dangerous, because their genuineness threatens the entire system. Think about it. When someone genuinely vulnerable posts on social media, what happens? They get either mocked or weaponized. Their vulnerability becomes content, becomes performance for others to react to. When someone acts with genuine compassion in public, what do we think? What's their angle? What are they really after? Who's filming this? We cannot conceive of genuine virtue anymore. We've trained ourselves out of it, and anyone who still practices it becomes mishkin, an idiot in a world of strategic players, doomed to destruction. Is it possible to be genuinely good in a world that rewards performance over authenticity? Can virtue survive in a system designed to commodify it? Can love exist when every interaction is strategic? Can meaning persist when everything becomes content? Dostoevsky doesn't give us an answer, because there isn't one that lets us continue living the way we've been living. The only answer is complete transformation, complete abandonment of the game, complete vulnerability. And that requires something most people aren't willing to give. Not their money, not their time, not their effort, their masks, their protection, their carefully constructed defenses against genuine human connection. Mishkin gave all of that up, walked into society completely undefended, completely real, completely vulnerable, and society destroyed him, not because it was evil, but because it was itself, playing by its own rules, following its own logic, a logic that cannot tolerate genuine goodness, because genuine goodness reveals the emptiness at the heart of the performance, saw what we actually are beneath the civilization, beneath the culture, beneath the performance, and he spent the rest of his life trying to show us, trying to warn us. In Crime and Punishment, he showed what happens when you think you're beyond good and evil, when you believe your intelligence exempts you from moral law. You commit murder and then spend the rest of your life tormented by what you've done. In The Brothers Karamazov, he showed what happens when faith confronts doubt, when belief encounters the reality of innocent suffering. The tension tears families apart and drives people to murder. And in The Idiot, he showed what happens when genuine goodness confronts a corrupt world. All three answers are the same: destruction, madness, death, not because life is inherently tragic, but because we've built a world that cannot tolerate truth, cannot tolerate sincerity, cannot tolerate genuine human connection. We've perfected the game, mastered the performance, created entire systems of meaning based on strategic interaction rather than authentic being. And then we wonder why we feel empty, why nothing feels real anymore, why every interaction feels transactional, why love feels impossible, why meaning keeps slipping through our fingers no matter how hard we grasp for it. Dostoevsky knew why. He tried to tell us, in The Idiot, in every novel, in every word. But we called him pessimistic, dark, depressing, too Russian, too intense, too much, because the alternative is too terrifying to face. The alternative is admitting he was right. It means Dostoevsky is asking you a question, the same question Mishkin faced every day of his life. Will you be real, or will you perform? Will you risk genuine connection, or will you play it safe with strategic interaction? Will you be vulnerable, or will you stay defended? Will you love genuinely even if it destroys you, or will you perform love while protecting yourself? Because here's what The Idiot teaches us, what Dostoevsky learned in those 30 seconds before the firing squad. There's no middle ground, no compromise, no way to be half real. Either you drop the mask completely, accept the risk, face the possibility of being destroyed by a world that can't tolerate genuineness, or you keep the mask on, play the game, join the performance, accept the emptiness, but live safely, strategically, defended, never truly connecting, never truly vulnerable, never truly alive. Mishkin chose reality, chose vulnerability, chose genuine love, and it destroyed him. But here's the question Dostoevsky never answers, the question he leaves hanging at the end of the novel. Was Mishkin destroyed, or was he the only one truly alive? Were the people who survived him by playing the game actually surviving? Or were they already dead inside? Walking corpses performing life rather than living it. Dostoevsky doesn't tell us, can't tell us, because each person has to answer for themselves. The question is, what will you choose? He tried to show us in The Idiot, tried to warn us, not with preaching, not with moralizing, but with a story, a mirror, a prophecy. And that prophecy is coming true, right now, in every interaction, in every performance of virtue, in every strategic calculation disguised as compassion. We've become the society Dostoevsky warned about, where genuineness is pathologized, where sincerity is suspect, where love itself becomes impossible because it requires vulnerability we're no longer capable of accepting. The question now is whether we'll see it, whether we'll face it, whether we'll do what Myshkin did and drop the mask entirely, or whether we'll do what everyone else did. Keep performing. Keep playing the game. Keep pretending that strategic interaction is the same as authentic connection. Most people will choose the performance, will choose safety, will choose the mask. But you're still here, still listening, still willing to face uncomfortable truths. So maybe you're different. Maybe you're ready for something real, even if it costs everything. Next time, we'll explore Nietzsche's final writings before his madness, the ones he never wanted published, the ones that explain everything about what he actually saw when he stared into the abyss. You don't want to miss that. Until then, ask yourself Dostoevsky's question, the one that has no easy answer. Are you real or are you performing? The world will reward your performance, but only reality will set you free. Stay awake.